argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy.
Please listen carefully.
She's as funny as Lucy and she's in the know. She's as smart as Phil and always on the go. It's the Patsy Hoolahan Show.
First question that I should ask you to do is explain to folks what you mean by this. Arguments for a colorblind America. What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of people equate colorblindness to I don't see race or to pretending not to see race. I think that's a big mistake. We all see race, right? And we're all capable of being racially biased, so we should all be self-aware to that possibility. My argument is not for that. My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy.
Of course.
And the reason I wrote this book, thank you. The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything. Right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism, and that's why I wrote this book at this time.
I'm sorry, baby. Can I just point out that there is a reason for that? You know, when I went to school, getting any information about anyone's race was not taught. In history, there was no black history. None of those things were taught. And here in America, 100 years ago when I was a young woman, that's how people saw you. That's how they judged you. So I think I don't want to say it's your youth, but I think you have a point, but I think you have to also take into consideration what people have lived through in order to understand why.
Go ahead, Whoopie, spit
there
it
has
out.
been such
You just can't stand it.
pointing of very specific racial things, like women couldn't get into colleges. If you were a black person, there were a lot of colleges wouldn't accept you, trying to equal the playing field. I think that's what a lot of folks have been trying to do.
Whoopie became a big star way back. She's a pretty wealthy lady, and she's had lots of opportunities. I don't know what she's complaining about. Why don't they let a new generation just learn to live together and love each other and accept the fact that we're all different? You know, it gets a little bit on my nerves, all this stuff.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
I think that's your experience, and that's valid. You know, as a counterpoint, when I was in 5th grade, we all watched Roots together in public school.
Yeah.
So these are different experiences. I think it's also different generations. It's different parts of the country, right? We have very different cultures all living together in one country. So I'm not going to deny that, but I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star. And the point is not that we're ever going to get there, we're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards. And we're going backwards when we're doing Woke Kindergarten in San Francisco, you know, with you didn't hear about this story?
No, but
Hold the fort. Well, The View isn't going to let him talk about Woke Kindergarten, but we are.
Glassbrook Elementary School, which has been struggling with pretty abysmal test scores and low student attendance, has been spending a whopping $250,000 in federal money on an organization called Woke Kindergarten. It is a for-profit organization, and yes, that is literally the name of that organization, Woke Kindergarten. So the point of this program is apparently to train teachers to confront white supremacy, disrupt racism and oppression, and remove those barriers to learning. Has nothing to do with reading, has nothing to do with math, it has nothing to do with improving the abysmal test scores that the schools set out to improve. Now, an argument in favor of Woke Kindergarten, right? The solution to poor performing schools, advocates say, is for educators to confront legacies of racism and bias in schools and to talk about historic white supremacy so that students feel safe and supported. Now remember, we're talking about an elementary school, and even though the program is called Woke Kindergarten, it would apply to all of the students in this elementary school. Teacher Tiger Craven Neely found the Woke Kindergarten training confusing and rigid. He said he was told a primary objective was to disrupt whiteness in the school, and that the sessions were not a place to express white guilt. He said he questioned a trainer who used the phrasing so-called United States, as well as lessons available to the organization's website offering Lil Comrade convos or...
Well, first of all, I don't believe a word out of Whoopie's mouth when she said she doesn't have any idea what Woke Kindergarten is. But let's be fair and listen to the founder of Woke Kindergarten.
I am 100% 10 toes down anti-Israel. I believe Israel has no right to exist. I believe the United States has no right to exist. I believe every settler colony who has committed genocide against native peoples, against indigenous people, has no right to exist. I believe in a free Palestine. From the river to the sea. Y'all are the demons. Y'all are the villains. We've been trying to end y'all. Get free of y'all.
Charming. And to give you an idea of the success of her Woke Kindergarten program, the New York Post reports that Glassbrook Elementary in Hayward, California spent $250,000 in federal funds that are meant to boost test scores, but after 2 years with Woke Kindergarten, student scores are even worse.
That wouldn't have been controversial with any liberal 30 or 40, 50 years ago. I mean, that is what Martin Luther King said. What colorblind society? I mean, I thought we were all after that, and then we all weren't. And what changed?
Yeah, so even 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been controversial. I grew up in a liberal town, Montclair, New Jersey. Many people probably know it. Diverse town where, we celebrated Martin Luther King every year. We listened to the famous speech and got goosebumps, as most Americans do, and really believed that, and I lived out that dream. In other words, I had friends of every race as a kid, and I didn't think of them as belonging to a race. I thought of them by their name and their attributes, right?
They treated you the same way?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, there are exceptions, but the exceptions prove the overwhelming rule. So, before 2013, you can just look at polling data from Gallup and Pew. The majority of Americans, black, white, and Hispanic, believed race relations were good as late as 2013. And that's the year everything takes a nosedive, so that by 2021, half as many people thought we were in a good place as thought that in 2013. So the question is what happened? Did racism suddenly spike? Well, no, the data is pretty clear on that. Racism didn't spike. What happened is that we all got smartphones and social media and started seeing unrepresentative video clips of cops, harassing or beating or killing Black Americans. And this gave people the misperception that racism was suddenly this widespread problem, and it touched off all of these trends that we've now heard about for the past 8 years under various names: wokeness, CRT, DEI. It's all fundamentally from that core change in how information has been shared.
Well, getting back to The View and Sonny Hostin.
Your argument for color blindness, I think, is something that the right has co-opted. And so many of the Black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
You've not a Republican.
So how do you...
You've never voted for a Republican.
You said that you're a conservative.
No,
you did. You actually said that in the podcast that you did 2 weeks ago.
I said I was a conservative.
Yes, you did. And so, but my question to you is, how do you respond to those critics?
Okay, let's give it a answer.
I think it's very important. The quote that you just pointed out about doing something special for the Negro, that's from the book Why We Can't Wait that I just mentioned.
Yes.
A couple paragraphs later, he lays out exactly what that something special was.
Yes.
And it was the Bill of Rights for the disadvantaged, a broad class-based policy.
But he also says you must include race.
No, he didn't. He says it's
Yes, he does.
Okay, well, everyone should go read the book Why We Can't Wait. Let's not get sidetracked by that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican. I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. And I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than make it about me.
It's not about you, but I want to give you the opportunity to respond to the,
I appreciate
the criticism.
I appreciate it. There's no evidence that I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because I feel it.
He then went on to say, I am saying, I don't like the super emphasis on race. I want people to be judged by their character, by their values. And the audience did erupt in applause.
The audience is with him. And I think it tells you a great deal. The executives in the C-suite, the people who are hosting these shows, they may be complete fundamentalist ideologues on these issues. But regular people, everyday Americans, generally share the same sensibilities. They want to they believe in human dignity. They want to judge people on the basis of their individuality. And I think a lot of people have been pulled in unhealthy directions in recent years, but that is starting to snap back into the right place. But that can only happen if people are going to be honest and sincere and share their genuine perspectives on these issues. Coleman is a dear friend of mine, but I would say this if it weren't the case. His book is really stellar. People should go out and grab it.
Well, in conclusion, I guess it's a good book that maybe we should all look at. And I don't know about these ladies on The View. I think they've got their, well, I don't even know what to say about that. But let's all try to get along and make the world a better place. That's all I can say.